On the news, Gori site greats security personnel in 3 communities in Anambra and Imo states. Minister of Information tackles critics over rising insecurity. And police arraigns 15 suspects of a siege on Justice Odili's residence. Glad to have you join us on News Now. I am Mary Kanu. The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, has faulted criticism that President Muhammadu Buhari has nothing more to offer in tackling insecurity, saying it is untrue and smacks of dirty politicking. The minister, while addressing a press conference on Wednesday in Abuja, said the reaction was necessary because the polity has recently been awash with heightened commentary on the security situation in the country. Lai Mohammed added that no administration in Nigeria's recent history has provided the security agencies with the hardware needed to tackle insecurity as that of President Buhari.
No administration in Nigeria's recent history has provided the security agencies with the hardware needed to tackle insecurity as that of President Muhammadu Buhari, in addition to raising the morale of our security men and women. The Army, the Air Force and the police, among others, have also been receiving modern hardware to strengthen their arsenal. The administration has not concentrated on the kinetic measures alone. Non-kinetic measures have also been strengthened. The establishment of the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development to coordinate all humanitarian affairs in Nigeria is a major effort at tackling poverty and shrinking the pool of those being targeted for recruitment by insurgents and bandits.
And the House of Representatives on Tuesday urged the Minister of Defense Bashir Magashi to, as a matter of urgency, initiate a coordinated joint security operation within Wase Federal Constituency and adjoining towns in Plateau, Bauchi, Gombe, Taraba and Nasarawa states to flush out bandits. The House also urged the chiefs of the air staff and the army to collaborate by providing aerial surveillance and support for the operation to flush bandits' camps. The resolution was so-called till the decision by the House of Representatives following a motion on the urgent need to halt the wanton killings and kidnapping by bandits in Wase Federal Constituency of Plateau State.
Urge the Honorable Minister of Defense to initiate a coordinated joint security operation within Wase Federal Constituency and adjoining towns located in Plateau, Bauchi, Gombe, Taraba and Nasarawa State to flush out these bandits and prevent them from escaping to other states. All the chief of air staff, in collaboration with the chief of army staff, to provide aerial surveillance and support to flush out bandits, hideouts and camps.
For the first time, Nigeria is hemorrhaging all through. And security situation is like an albatross on our neck. We have to take extraordinary measures to deal with it.
The danger we are facing is that insecurity, not only in one place, is costing us our life as a nation. It's affecting our level of productivity. Today, the impact on the national economy is unquantifiable. Farmers couldn't go to farm, so there is no food. The level of insecurity on food alone is going to make impact negatively on whatever we are going to do in days ahead. Because I don't want to belabor it, I am standing up to lend the support that we have to sit back and look at the best way to improve on our security.
The Federal Executive Council, FEC, has approved the review and upgrades of salaries of police personnel by 20%. The Minister of Police Affairs, Megari Dingyadi's service on Wednesday after the FEC meeting, which was chaired by President Muhammadu Buhari at the newly renovated council chambers, while revealing that the review is in response to the demands made by NSAS protesters in 2020 involving improved welfare for police officers. Dingyadi added that the review exercise is expected to take effect from January 2022. FEC also approved the release of 13.1 billion naira for payment of outstanding death benefits of 5,472 personnel for the uninsured period of 2013 to August 2021. Moving on, security agencies have uncovered dead bodies and decapitated human bodies during a raid of criminals camps in Osu local government in Imo State and Uli in Ihala local government area of Anambra State. During the raid, the security agencies arrested over 30 criminals and rescued several kidnapped victims. Commanding efforts of the security agencies, Governor Hope Uzodinma explained that the arrests are a sign that the new strategy for combating insecurity in the state is working. Our correspondent Abisola Adebayo has the details.
Series of attacks on these communities have turned them into ghost villages. With shops closed, businesses shut, houses abandoned, there is no sign of life in the once bubbly communities. Criminal elements have now turned the communities, which bother both Anambra and Imo State, to their board. Pits serving as makeshift graves litter everywhere, so too are several cars snatched from kidnapped victims. Following an intelligence tip, a joint security team comprising of the police, the military and the DSS stormed Uli community in Ihala local government area of Anambra State and neighboring towns in Osu local government area of Imo State. On getting to the suspected camps of the criminals, the security team was confronted by gory sights. Corpses of victims, decapitated human heads, and roasted bodies littered the surroundings. At the end of the raid, at least 30 suspected criminals were overpowered and arrested. Kidnapped victims were also rescued. One of the victims, who was close to tears while recounting her experience, revealed that the criminals perpetrated unspeakable crimes in their hideouts.
Their commander tried to rape me this morning before he heard the gunshot and he ran away. I was the only one inside the room. They asked me to join them. I said no, I cannot. I cannot kill my fellow human being for nothing. Yesterday afternoon, they killed one army man, and this man here, they kidnapped him in the night. That day we came, they showed us on my head that if we tell government anything about this case, that they are going to cut off our head. They beat us. They even kill human being, kill them, roast the human being. I don't know anything. There are plenty. I cannot count. Both girls, both ladies, both kids. Many people. I cannot explain.
A traditional ruler who was kidnapped in Okigwe local government area, Eze Acho Ndukwe, was also rescued from his captors during the raid. He thanked the Imo State government for their prompt response, which saved his life.
They came to our Okigwe local government on Saturday night and picked two of the traditional rulers and two other young boys and took us to that place. So unfortunately, one of the traditional rulers is no more. And by God's grace here I am. I want to thank His Excellency for prompt action and thank the gallant security operators who came timely to rescue us.
While lauding efforts of the security agencies, Governor Hope Uzodinma reiterated his administration's support to combat criminality in the state.
I want to commend the security agencies in Imo State, the DSS, the Army, the Navy, the police, the civil defense, all of them, for putting their heads together and making sure that at least Imo people will come home to celebrate Christmas. It has been a very thing of worry, wondering how entire local government like Osu local government will be abandoned in the hands of criminals and cannibals. From what we have seen, you will not agree with me that these are ordinary criminals and bandits who has no future, who has no plan, who are killing human beings and roasting human beings. How else are we supposed to treat this kind of idiots, if not to ensure that the law takes its course?
Nigeria's southeastern states, especially Imo, have been confronting an unprecedented security challenges for some time now. Criminal elements have been wreaking havoc in the southeast, but the federal and the state governments have continued to intensify efforts to contain the situation. Abisola Adebayo, TV360 News.
Moving on to other stories, the Nigerian police has arraigned 15 out of the 22 suspects alleged to have laid siege on the residence of Justice Mary Odili of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. The suspects were produced on Wednesday before Justice Nkoyi Maha of the Federal High Court in Abuja, the nation's capital, and are facing an 18-count charge. They were said to be among a joint panel recovery unit of the federal government comprising the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, police and the Federal Ministry of Justice. The panel had invaded the Abuja residence of the Supreme Court next-ranking justice on October 29th, claiming it had a warrant from Chief Magistrate Emmanuel Iyana to search the home of Justice Odili. The siege on the judge sparked widespread criticism from various individuals and groups within and outside the legal profession. And the Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning and other stakeholders have kicked against the implementation of the new Nigeria Customs Service Bill of 2021, which according to the House of Representatives seeks to reposition the Nigeria Customs Service to be financially stable in order to recruit the required number of personnel needed to man the nation's porous borders and boost revenue collection. At a public hearing organized by the House Committee on Customs and Excise, the proposed legislation met with opposition from major stakeholders who are of the opinion that the new law is punitive and does not conform with international best practices. Our correspondent Aniete Patrick tells us more in this report.
This public hearing by the House Committee on Customs and Excise and stakeholders is organized to address the pros and cons of the passage of a new bill which seeks to repeal the Customs and Excise Management Act 2004 and enact the Nigerian Customs Service Establishment Bill. At the hearing, the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Aliyu Ahmed, while making his remark, condemned the inconsistencies of the proposed bill with global best practices.
The bill as presented seeks to create an autonomous customs regulatory body which is separate from the supervision of the Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning. This is not in line with international best practice as we know it, as custom administration in most developed democracies and indeed our peer developing nations is under the supervision of the Treasury or the Federal or the Ministry of Finance or the Ministry responsible for finance or economic management, as the case may be.
On the contrary, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Amila, and the Chairman of the House Committee on Customs and Excise, Honorable Leke Abejide, clarified that the bill is to reposition the Nigerian customs towards better service delivery and to bridge the gap that has crippled the effectiveness of the service in revenue generation.
It is also evidence of the need to use the instruments of legislative authority to promote policies and enact mandates to encourage investment, enable commercial activity, and promote enterprise in the country. Ensuring that the Nigerian Customs Service operates optimally in executing its statutory functions without corruption and malfeasance of any sort is essential to achieve these other objectives. And this is what we hope to achieve with the bill under consideration.
The Act, its regulations, and its operational guidelines are archaic, obsolete, and no longer in tandem with modern day challenges. And this has unfortunately reduced measurably the accrued revenue against the volume of trade in Nigeria.
Key stakeholders were, however, not impressed with the new bill. They expressed concern that the proposed legislation contravenes both treaties and protocols on international conventions Nigeria is a signatory to.
A Customs and Excise Management Act is a convention. There are protocols and treaties. They are not domestic laws. Nigeria entered into conventions, treaties, and protocols. And what you have in this bill are domestic laws, contravening all the protocols and conventions. So this bill does not stand it. It's not a domestic bill.
Following the backlash from stakeholders on the viability of the bill as currently drafted, the committee resolved that all submissions will be considered before final reports will be submitted to the House for further legislative action. Anita Patrick, TV360, Abuja.
And in response to emerging developments which require enhanced rules of practice and procedure for sound legislation, the Senate has amended its standing rules of 2015 and approved a simple majority for the election of presiding officers. It also amended Order 96 to provide for senators to be members of not more than 7 committees at a time, while committee membership would consist of not less than 7 members and not more than 20 members at most. A correspondent, Simisola Adigu, tells us more in this report.
Despite the 2/3 majority proposed by the Rules and Business Committee in its report, members of the Red Chamber have approved a simple majority for the election of its presiding officers. The Upper Chamber also retained a closed ballot system of voting for the election of the President of the Senate and the Deputy. The amendment of the rules followed the consideration of a motion pursuant to Order 111 of the Senate Standing Rule 2015, which was sponsored by Chairman of the Committee on Rules and Business, Senator Sulaiman Sadiq, and the Vice Chairman, who is the Senate's leader, Yahaya Abdullahi.
There are a number of issues that still require further amendment in response to the emerging developments that make Nigerian democracy, which require enhanced rules of practice and procedure for a sound legislation to tackle such developments.
Senator James Manager threw his weight in support of a 2/3 majority for the election of officers, while some lawmakers kicked against the adoption of a simple majority.
Going by what we have been seeing and what has even happened elsewhere in Edo State and some other places, we are talking about the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It's not a mild matter. It's not a simple matter. We are talking about the first sitting, the inauguration of the Senate. I think 2/3 is good enough.
2/3 is good, but in the climb and in the way we operate. So if maybe 1 plus maybe 1/3 just decide that, okay, we are not coming because we want to stall this, they will succeed.
My amendment is simple majority that is based on at least 2/3 representation across the country, so that we don't have a situation where 10 or 20 people from one section of the country will determine a state president. That will lead to chaos.
President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, however, cautioned that an amendment in the direction of a 2/3 majority could be exploited to stall the inauguration and election of presiding officers.
I think the two arguments are clear here. Each one is really convincing, but I think we need to be careful because it's much easier for someone or some people to frustrate the inauguration.
Lawmakers in the majority, who were swayed by the Senate President's observation, accordingly voted in support of a simple majority for the election of presiding officers. In his concluding remarks, President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, commended the Rules and Business Committee for working hard to propose important amendments to the standing orders. Simisola Adigu, TV360 News.
To meet the housing needs of its people, the Lagos State government has unveiled 774 housing units at the Sangotedo area of the state. Speaking during the commissioning of the project, Governor Sanwo-Olu explained that the rationale behind his administration's massive involvement in housing provision was to meet one of the basic needs of Lagosians. The governor further maintained that besides fostering an enabling environment for family life and raising future leaders, homes in decent and well-planned communities help in reducing occurrences of security issues to the barest minimum.
To build a 21st century economy is to build a resilient economy, is to build an economy that people can work, they can live, and they can play. Here today, I'm excited because this is another promise kept. We said it 2.5 years ago that we will leave nothing to chance. We will ensure that everything we found a hand doing, we will do it well. I'm truly excited that this is the biggest Lagos Homes housing project that we're handing over. This project, when we came in, it was a den of all criminality. It was an abandoned site, as it were, at various stages. They were turned to miscreants, criminal activity, a massive, massive site that was a very dangerous site. And we came in here, we've cleaned up everything, and I'm excited that today we can hand over to our citizens 744 1-bed, 2-bed, and 3-bed housing estates.
Well, we'll take a break here, but still to come, South African court orders ex-president Zuma back to jail. Details of the story and more right after this break. Glad to have you back. Here's a recap of some of our top stories tonight. The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, has faulted criticism that President Muhammadu Buhari has nothing more to offer in tackling insecurity, saying it is untrue and smacks of dirty politicking. The minister added that no administration in Nigeria's recent history has provided the security agencies with the hardware needed to tackle insecurity as that of President Buhari. We also told you that security agencies have uncovered dead bodies and decapitated human bodies during a raid of criminals camps in Osu local government in Imo State and Uli in Ihala local government area of Anambra State. During the raid, the security agencies arrested over 30 criminals and rescued several kidnapped victims. Commanding efforts of the security agencies, Governor Hope Uzodinma, explained that the arrests are a sign that the new strategy for combating insecurity in the state is working. Well, in case you missed any of our news bulletin or for more updates, to log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Google Plus at TV360 Nigeria. On Facebook, we're at TV360 Online. The Lagos State government has commenced prosecution of inbound international passengers who failed to submit themselves for Day 2 and Day 7 PCR tests as mandated by the federal COVID-19 protocols and guidelines. Speaking on the development, the State Commissioner for Health, Akin Abayomi, noted that the prosecution of defaulting inbound passengers became necessary in order to mitigate the evolving fourth wave of COVID-19 infection in the state. This comes as the state government expressed concern over the dramatic rise in COVID-19 cases seen in the evolving fourth wave. Abayomi further stressed that the alarming trend of defaulters constitutes a state and national public health and security threat and sabotages all efforts to mitigate and reduce the impact of the fourth wave on citizens and the economy of the state. But we'll take a break and return with business updates. Don't go away. Welcome back. Up next is business news with Simisola Adigun. Over to you, Simisola.
Thank you, Mary. And in business news, the Debt Management Office has disclosed that Nigeria's public debt was 38.05 trillion naira as of the end of the third quarter of 2021. According to the data released, the increase of 2.5 trillion naira compared to the corresponding figure of over 35 trillion naira at the end of Q2 2021 was largely accounted for by the $4 billion Eurobond issued by the government in September 2021. Speaking in an interview with TV360 Nigeria, the managing director of Kairos Capital Limited, Sam Chidoka, while cautioning the federal government over rising debt, has advised that loans be used to set infrastructure in place rather than servicing recurrent expenditure.
Our key commodity is oil. Our key revenue driver is still oil and gas as of today. We're doing our best to diversify our revenue sources, but as of today, oil still contributes a huge portion of our revenue. Bearing that in mind, I think that once the price of oil remains at levels above $70 or $80, we should be fine. But yes, it's good to worry, because if you're not worried about it, then we will just go gung-ho and just borrow as much as we can. And I don't think that's sustainable. I think that we need to plan a structure that makes sure that when we borrow, we are able to service the debt and we're able to pay back.
We'll go on a short break now and be back with a review of the short stock market. Welcome to Stock Market Review. Market closed on a bullish note, reversing losses of previous trading day as the all-share index inched up by 0.09% to end at 42,357 basis points, bringing current market capitalization to 22.1 trillion naira. Now, a total of 100 equities participated in trading, ending with 19 gainers and 13 losers. Setting today's gains, we see Red Star Express and Maya leading gainers, recording a combined gain of 3 naira 82 kobo, initiating and maintaining positive sentiment in trading. The losers list is led by eTransact and Royal X, which couldn't maintain Tuesday's gains, ending with a combined 22 naira 79 kobo loss. At the end of today's trading session at the Nigerian Stock Exchange, our market summary sees a total volume of 226 million naira valued at 2.632 billion naira, exchanging hands in 3,476 deals. Now over to selected global stock markets, the FTSE, Dow Jones and Nikkei. London's FTSE stocks declined as inflation jumped to 5.1%, its highest annual rate in a decade. This current inflation was influenced by factors of petrol prices, a 30% jump in the value of second-hand cars, and rising clothing prices. Losses for the Dow Jones were imminent as investors remain cautious about the COVID-19 Omicron variant and how it will affect the economy and what the Federal Reserve will announce. On the bright side, Japan's Nikkei reversed Tuesday's losses to end with a 0.095%. And that's all on the stock market. Over to you, Mary.
Well, thank you, Simisola, for that update. And on the global scene, a South African court has ruled the former President Jacob Zuma should be returned to prison, saying his medical parole was unlawful. Zuma, who was sentenced to prison for failing to attend an inquiry into corruption during his presidency, was released on September 5th due to an undisclosed medical condition. His jailing sparked violent protests and looting in his home province of KwaZulu-Natal, the spread to the financial hub Johannesburg in July, claiming over 350 lives, the deadliest violence in South Africa since the end of white minority rule in 1994. The Pretoria court, however, ruled that his time spent out of prison should not be counted in his 15-month sentence. And now in sports, Barcelona and Argentina striker Sergio Aguero on Wednesday announced his retirement from football at a tearful press conference just over a month after being diagnosed with a heart problem. The 33-year-old signed a 2-year deal with Barcelona but had made just 5 appearances, scoring 1 goal against Real Madrid before being taken to the hospital with breathing problems after a match at home to Alaves in October. Aguero finishes his career with 427 goals in 786 games and is the highest scoring overseas player in Premier League history with 184 goals. Well, that's the size of our bulletin at this time. Many thanks for watching. I am Mary Kanu. Bye for now.